Various publications published by youth organizations are in the Sri Lankan National Archives. I could able to found those sources to prepare this lecture. Now I am moved to observe activities of radical youth organization. Actually, Sri Lanka's first youth organization was formed in 1918 in Colombo. Mainly A.E. Gunasinghe, E.A. Vijayaratne, A.G. Thambaya, Valentine S. Pereira, P.H.S. Pranandu were important in starting the first youth organization. In establishing the first youth organization, its ultimate goal was to achieve Swaraj for Sri Lanka. To achieve that goal, they emphasized that the people of Sri Lanka should be organized for broad anti-nations. When we compare with the activities implemented by traditional leaders, the activities admitted by youth leaders were completely different. For example, traditional leaders highly lethargic and expected dominion state under British rule. Youth leaders is something different. Therefore, it is completely different with traditional elite class leaders. Also, they emphasize that efforts should be made to develop patriotism among the people and uplift the history, religion, and literature of Sri Lankans. Actually, some of Sri Lankan leaders like Anagarika Dharmapala, Walisinghe Harishchandra conducted several nationalist movements in the 19th and 20th centuries. Youth leaders also get exemplary influence from those leaders. Actually, due to long-term colonial rule, Sri Lankan culture, language, and religion were drastically damaged, and westernized influences were uplifted. In this situation, radical youths are highly convinced need to uplift the history, religion, and literature of Sri Lanka. And also, other than this, they emphasize national unity of Sri Lanka. Actually, Sri Lankan leaders formed Ceylon National Congress in 1990. When they formed the Congress, they highly expected unity, harmony among the nationalists, harmony among all nationalities. However, at the second decade of the 20th century, unity and harmony was drastically damaged among Sri Lankan leaders, particularly Sinhala and Tamil leaders. The reason is basement provided actually the constitutional privileges of legislator. At the second decade of the 20th century, Tamil leaders skipped out from Ceylon National Congress and formed the Tamil Mahajana Sabha. Then and there, Ceylon National Congress was dominated by traditional Sinhala leaders. After that, actually in that period, elite class Sinhala and Tamil leaders had formed separate organizations expecting their own rights. Both leaders went to separate routes, not united. They emphasized the rights of their own nationality, own ethnicity, not regarding all Sri Lankans. They did not focus all Sri Lankan rights and privileges. They emphasized only rights of their own ethnicity. Tamil leaders emphasized their rights, and also Sinhala leaders emphasized their particular rights. However, most important thing is the youth leaders always emphasize national unity and urge the elite national leaders to unite and organize a united independent movement against the British. Because even youth organization was a very tiny one, they clearly identified if Sinhala and Tamil leaders were had a variety of dispute, it's a very create a supportive environment to British to rule the Sri Lankan society. Therefore, they always emphasized unity and harmony among Sinhala and Tamil leaders. And also, youth leaders organized variety of radical organizations, number of radical organizations. Among those organizations, National Day of Mourning campaign was very significant. Actually, the purpose of this campaign was to remember the youth who died due to the riots of 1915. In 1915, Sinhala and Muslim riots were taken place in Central Province, Western Province and Subramaniam. British rulers mistakenly identified that riots also were one of anti-British campaigns. So they started massive operation against Sinhala leaders. The number of leaders who were killed, injured or arrested. In order to that, youth leaders started national mourning campaign to remember those leaders. The first National Day of Mourning was started on the 5th of July 1921 at Colombo. A number of youth gathered around the campaign. At the end of the rally, youth leaders carried the funeral processions, carrying the pictures of the leaders who were killed by the British in the riots of 1950. Participants carried garlands and drummers and marched in the procession. On that day, the entire area was in deep mourning. Black flags and white flags were hung all over the city of Colombo. Leaders of all ethnic groups, Sinhalese, Muslim and Tamil, gave speeches on the platforms of National Mourning Day celebrations. Due to the publication of the floating activities in several major newspapers, there was an awareness of it throughout the country. Another most important thing we have to consider: youth leaders refrain from paying undue respect to British imperial rulers. Actually, the elite class leaders of this country used to hold ceremonies and honor the royals of the British Empire when they came. For example, Prince Wales arrived in Sri Lanka in 1922. Prince Wales was highly welcomed by elite class traditional leaders. They arranged several functions for him and paid their loyalty. But the youth leaders criticized the imperial rule by striking on those occasions. They emphasized the importance of using the money pensions, frivolous celebration for the welfare of poor children. However, when the anti-imperialist leaders came to Sri Lanka, they organized warm receptions for them. When B.G. Tilak, who was a flag bearer of the Indian independence movement, came to Sri Lanka in 1919, the youth leaders organized a ceremony for him and honored him. That is the nature of youth leaders. They highly respected radical leaders all over the world. When they came to Sri Lanka, they highly respected. However, they did not respect. Openly they refused to respect imperial leaders like Princess Wales, like that. And also other important radical activity that they have conducted, radical movement against body tax. According to the British, it is mandatory for every adult citizen of Sri Lanka to provide 6 days of labour service to the government. Otherwise, a body tax of 2 rupees must be paid to the government. The income from body tax was enough to employ several South Indian labourers. Because of this, the government was keen to collect the tax in cash. But the youth leaders started working on the roads without paying the tax in cash. Seeing the country's national leaders working on the streets, challenging the ruling regime in this way led to the growth of anti-imperialist sentiments among the common people. The people gradually rallied around this movement. Later, the body tax was abolished by British leaders. This is a receipt that I have received from the National Archives of Sri Lanka. People who had paid body tax for the British government issued this kind of receipt for them. This is a one-off receipt that I have received from the Sri Lankan National Archives related to body tax. Another main important thing is Swarajya newspaper. Actually, in 1922, youth union leaders started a newspaper called Swarajya. Through this newspaper, they worked to motivate the people to win full independence and spread anti-imperial sentiments among people. Through this newspaper, the youth leaders reported on the battles being waged for freedom in contemporary countries like India and Ireland. Also, they used Swarajya newspaper to build up ethnic unity among Sri Lankan elite class leaders. Various articles were included in the newspaper requesting unity and harmony among them. The newspaper was used to criticize the elite class leaders who were leading to lukewarm national movement at this stage. And also, other important thing is they provided leadership for organizing workers. Actually, many factories were owned by Europeans in the British period. These owners were not concerned about the welfare of the workers. Therefore, the youth union leaders formed the Lanka Industrial Union and raised their voice for the welfare of the workers. Many labor strikes were organized. Youth leaders like particularly A. Gunasinghe, Victor Correa provided significant leadership to start such movement. Actually, in that period, salaries of laborers were extremely low. Leave rights were not granted. Some of laborers could not able to go home for participate their mother's funeral also. It's very pathetic situation. Their welfare was not granted. Through them, therefore, many labor strikes were organized by youth leaders. Through them, it was possible to win leave rights and salary also increases because due to activities organized by youth leaders. And also, another important thing was Jaffna Youth, emerge of Jaffna Youth Congress. Actually, while the youth movement was established and functioning in areas around Colombo, youth societies were also started in Jaffna. In the establishment of youth societies in Jaffna, C. Sundaralingam, C. Balasundaram, Henry Perimbanayagam, S. Durai Rajasingham, J.V. Sellaya were the most significant. Most of them were educated at Jaffna College in Jaffna. The Jaffna Youth Societies held discussion based on the themes of freedom, equality, national integration, self-governance, and localism. Jaffna Youth Societies emphasize national unity at a very high level. It is very important thing. It is very important point. Sinhala youth leaders were also brought to the Jaffna Youth Society sessions. Most of Sinhala youth leaders came to participate the sessions held in Jaffna Youth Congress in the area of Jaffna. They were highly united and they emphasized unity and they exchange the tradition, religion, and variety of traditions among them. They emphasize the importance of Sinhala teaching in Jaffna schools and Tamil teaching in Colombo schools. In that period, Sinhala Colombo area and southern province were highly conducted youth movement, and also in the same period, in the Jaffna, highly conducted youth activities in Jaffna also. Therefore, this is a very small number of very small of participants of Jaffna and Colombo Youth Organization. However, their activities were most influencers because they were very radical and they influences Sri Lankan traditions. Even at that time, British rulers ruled Sri Lanka. On May 19, 1931, the All Ceylon Youth Federation was established as first radical all-island youth society of Sri Lanka. According to this federation, Jaffna Youth Congress and Youth Congress of Southern provinces were connected to each other. Then this was a very radical, but after 1930, Marxist leaders came to Sri Lanka, and then and there they provided their leadership and to conduct radical activities of along the Sri Lankan Youth Congress. Mainly, I can discuss activities of the Sri Lankan Youth Congress like that. Finally, I can conclude my lecture. Actually, Sri Lankan independence movement at the beginning of the 20th century, led by elite class traditional leaders. However, the movement they had organized very lethargic and not radical. They never asked full freedom. They asked only dominion state under the British rule. However, in this situation, even tiny group of youth organization could able to represent very high level in the radical politics of the Sri Lankan independence movement. Therefore, even youth organization and their activities were really hidden in the Sri Lankan history, Sri Lankan academic debate. However, their activities and their activities were very significant and radical of that period. Okay, this is my lecture. Thank you very much. It's very sorry because I had many technical problem at the beginning of the lecture. It's sorry.
Good evening, one and all. Now I am going to present vote of thanks. Honorable Chief Guest G.C.L Gamage, Professor and Head Department of History and Archaeology, University of Ruhuna, Sri Lanka. Most respected Professor Dr. Rajan, former Head of the Department, Professor C. Nadarajan, Annamalai University, respected conveners, Dr. V. THIRUMURUGAN, Dr. J. MUTHUKUMAR, and all the participants. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank you, all dignitaries. On behalf of the Department of History, Annamalai University, I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. I extend my gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor G.C.L Gamage, to take out time from her busy schedule to grace the event. She has given an exemplary lecture on the topic Activity Radical Youth Movements of Sri Lankan Independence Struggle in early 20th century. Under this, she shared her knowledge on activities of radical youth organizations, emphasized national unity of Sri Lanka, National Day of Mourning campaign, refraining from paying undue respect to imperial ruler, radical movement against body tax, establishment of Swarajya newspaper, providing leadership for organizing workers, and finally, about the importance of the beginning of the Jaffna Youth Congress. Thank you for inspiring us with your words on this special day. A special thanks to our university authorities for providing immense support to make the webinar successful.
Oh,
I must thank the organizing team, volunteers, especially Rashid, MANZOOR, but for working hard for the past few days for his technical support. I congratulate all the participants for their active participation. Thank you, everyone, once again for making it a great success. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Thank you very much for giving this such a valuable opportunity. Thank you, all of you, actually.
Hello.
is it possible to talk?
Back to the audience, Amma. Are you ready?
Okay, I am from Sri Lanka. Madam Lakmini Madam's talk was good. Can I talk?
Yes, madam. Yes.
I am Dr. Anushya, senior lecturer from Southeastern University, teaching history. Madam, actually you talked about the Swaraj newspaper.
Yeah.
That newspaper was also published in India regarding the Indian freedom movement. Is there any connection between them during the freedom fighting?
Yeah. Actually, Sri Lankan youth leaders also took number of examples from Sri Lankan Indian independence movement.
Yeah.
Therefore, they started Swarajya newspaper taken with examples from India. That's true.
Yeah, okay. So I also studied from University of Madras. I did my history as a special. I am teaching history here.
Okay.
Dr. Lakmini, it was a very good lecture. A lot of information you brought out. Yes. Thank you very much. Organizing
Okay,
committee of
thank you
Annamalai University.
Thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much. I came after half an hour only. I joined after half an hour of your start.
We also had a problem, technical problem actually.
Okay.
Professor Sankari, I need to talk with you after that.
Ma'am, your topic selected for the lecture is very nice and elaborate your lecture, but at the same time, some technical problems.
Can we talk with the WhatsApp then and there? If you are free, can we talk with WhatsApp?
Ma'am, that is, what about the data you have collected for preparing the lecture? Any archives at Sri Lanka?
Yeah. We have. It's a huge national archives in Colombo, Sri Lanka. There are a lot of primary sources in the collected. It's very good if you want to collect primary sources of Sri Lanka. Come to Sri Lanka, you can collect it.
Okay. Really, we are thankful to you, madam, for this nice, wonderful,
Okay.
Indian. That is parallelly, there is a freedom struggle was also going on in Sri Lanka, like that of India. That is, we are ever thankful for such a enlightenment.
Shankari madam, thank you very much for organizing this type of talk through Dr. Lakmini.
Thank you, ma'am. That is, there are there is also another opportunity to contact you.
Okay.
Pardon, madam?
Thank you.
We are ready to contact you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The dear participants, that is, it is a regular routine. We are organizing the webinars every month. The next will be on 22nd November of this November. That is, please extend your cooperation as well as support for the knowledge of our academic gatherings, particularly the family of history. So I request each and everyone getting connected virtually. That is again, I expect the same on the date 22nd November 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you very much for organizing this program and extending the invitation.
Ma'am, can we close?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Ru,